And the only opportunities you see, and you'll like this one, I'm sure, Sadiq Khan at City Hall spending £366,000 on some woke...
Diversity
Six
officers.
of them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is what... following on...
When I hear the term diversity, equality and inclusion, I reach for my gun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we learned yesterday on the
said.
show that I think local councils have spent twice as much money in 2 years on diversity and inclusivity jobs. I think they're now spending 23 million compared to 12 million a couple of years ago. So, I mean, this is the growth industry. And that's also going to hollow out the economy because, you know, you can't just keep funding things by taxpayers.
And we're not employing people on merit. We're employing them on the basis of their skin colour. That's what diversity is. Diversity is the embedding of prejudice and effectively racism in our recruitment and other policies in this country. The promotion, this progressive discrimination, they use the word progressive, which somehow sanitises it, but it is discrimination. And we've got to stop doing it. We've got to start running the country.
It's what they used to call positive discrimination. They don't call it that anymore, do they?
And of course, we all wanted to, and you know, it's really positive. There's been an end, in some sense, to racism and things like that being allowed. But for goodness' sake, can we get beyond? Well, can we get beyond someone's gender, the colour of their skin, who they sleep with, what's in their underwear? I don't care. I don't care whether they're trans, this, that, or the other.
But do you not think that more people are now more likely to say racist things and maybe anti-trans things because of the fact that this has happened?
I think
and people have got more...
There is a reaction against this kind of thing in industries. And look, I think the fact the Chancellor was making the point the other week that local authorities have to raid their DEI budgets to pay for public services. There's a lot about the state of local government as well as the DEI agenda. What concerns me is that, you know, if this money is well spent, if we're getting the kinds of people into the jobs in local government that, you know, we wouldn't otherwise have without these measures. So you've got to judge it on outputs as well. All the evidence shows that gender-balanced organisations perform better, more diverse organisations perform better, but that has to include...
Does it?
It has to include...
but that depends who's making... But who's measuring that? But who's measuring that?
But it has to include socioeconomic factors as well. It has
but hang on, who's measuring that they perform better?
This is the thing, we have to be sure that it's producing the right output.
What I'm saying is people say these things as if it's the truth, as if it's... My hand's on the Bible, you know, gender... What did you call them? Gender what?
Gender-balanced organisations.
Gender-balanced...
Yeah. But I would say that's common sense. I would say, I would say that in an organisation where you do have men and women, and when you do have people of all different faiths and all different colours, skin colour, I would say that's common sense that you're acting like human beings.
Yes, but my question is, when you say they perform better, what does that mean?
Well,
who says they perform better?
Well, there was a report from the Treasury Select Committee on Friday about sexism in the city, and it looked, for example...
but there's always reports, but half the people on those committees wouldn't get a job in the city.
And they're promoting an agenda. They're promoting an agenda.
And they start with, this is the idea we want to come up with, how do we get there? And unfortunately, that's what public policy now is. They say, well, if you want to do a study on it, we can show you a study. People can show me 1 million studies that we're all going to die in a fireball in about 5 years' time. You know, Greta Thunberg signed it off, so it must be true. But it isn't true. It's BS. I want to say something else, but it's very difficult. You know, but this is the problem. We're now surrounded by people who want to say to us, but there's data that proves it. And there isn't when you actually look at it, because it doesn't prove anything at all. All it says is that, well, a bunch of people have done some research and we've come to the conclusion that, you know, gender-balanced organisations perform better. I don't even know what it means.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why did they say gender? Why don't they just say men and women and working together?
People that employ men and women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
Men and women in equal proportion, that's what they're saying. Or more equal proportions.
Again, it means nothing, does it? Why would you want it to be in equal proportions? I mean, we've got 1 woman here, 3 blokes. It's pretty good, as far as I'm concerned. If we changed it round, it would still be pretty good, because we pick the right people. You don't just go, I'm going to replace you, Mike Indian, with a woman, and I'll go out on the street and find the first woman and bring her in here. It wouldn't be better, would it?
And you've got to have a trans person, and you've got to have a person of this, that, and the other colour. Yeah, it just is. It's so contrived.
It's the wrong way to do it. It seems to me. So the
I
people
think
who want to do it that way,
starting from the wrong end.
People who want to do it that way want to prove that they can do it, because apparently some bloody report somewhere said that it was more effective.
Well, I think it's more insidious than that. I think it comes back to the, you know, in the first segment of this programme where we talked about our borders being open and unbridled immigration and so on. If you take in lots of different people from different parts of the world, the multiculturalism that we've been practicing, you've got to ensure that they have jobs. Otherwise, you're going to have civil unrest. Yeah. So then you create this policy for the progressive discrimination in their favour, and you start moving away from meritocracy and what's really important for the progression of the economy, and you end up in this downward spiral. And it comes out of a complete lack of regard for what's in the interest of the United States.
It's Orwellian. It's just
It is Orwellian. It's
we've
absolutely
lost
Orwellian.
the sense of being human and saying, OK, good, let's have men and women in this organisation because that's nice. Let's have men and women. Let's have people of all faith and all sexualities because it's fine.
Yeah.
But instead of which, it's imposed on us, and we're told that what we can see is true isn't true, and that a person that is a man, no, that's actually a woman, and you have to call them by the opposite thing. And now you've used the wrong term, and now you've misgendered me. It feels so Orwellian.
And it
some
seems
of
to
the
me
stuff
that in all the places
that we
where
have
it's
to
being
conform
done,
to.
like government departments, like local councils, these are some of the least effective organisations in the world. I mean, so that doesn't back up the data, does it?
I mean, the local government ineffectiveness is underpinned by the fact they've had 40% spending cuts since 2010 as well, and they can talk about
in real terms or in absolute.
Well, in absolute terms, basically since.
Yeah, but they've been wasting it all on diversity jobs.
But I don't buy this spending cuts thing.
It's a fraction of what they've lost, though, to be fair, Mike.
Look at how much money we've poured into the NHS.
Look,
and
you know as well as I do,
totally
75% of all the council tax that they get is given over to their salaries and their pensions, right?
And,
so most of the money they generate
the amount
is actually given to
having
the
to
people
go
that
up
work
by as well is phenomenal. I mean, look at the councils that are filing Section 114 notices going up, and that is the legacy of the government's austerity programme, unfortunately.
I don't believe that.
I
don't
think
believe
it's
that for a second.
mismanagement. Yeah, I think it's mismanagement.
It is.
Look at the NHS. How much money, how many billions have we poured into the NHS?
Yeah. Well, they get 200 billion a year. They're now getting another 6 billion.
Dysfunctional.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It won't get more functional the more money you pour in.
The point is the
about
public sector is
efficiency.
broken, and you can blame it on not getting enough money from the government, or you can blame it on the fact that it just doesn't work because it's too big. And I think you can make an argument either way. They may have less money, but they have too many people, and they have too much money being wasted. And if you don't manage your budget, you get screwed.
I was at a big London Central Hospital yesterday, and I saw a lot of people, and I know there are lots of people within hospitals who are working very, very hard, but I did not see hundreds, well, I shouldn't even say this, you just get so much abuse on Twitter if you say that some nurses and some doctors aren't amazing and aren't brilliant and aren't rushing around being
They can't all be, can they?
There are lots of people shuffling around doing absolutely probably not a lot and getting decent
Well, I mean,
salaries.
one of the problems with the NHS, and indeed most of the public sector that's operated by the government, is that they don't have clients.
Yeah.
They're
not really accountable.
No, they're not accountable. So patients are a necessary evil for them to go and get their job.
And you feel that. You feel you're in an inconvenience.
You're an
sometimes.
inconvenience,
Yeah.
absolutely. Whereas if there was a client service provider relationship, they would then service.
But it's like the roads. Mike was talking about the potholes and just endless roadworks. In Germany, for example, if you dig up a road, you're charged per day, get the job done, and then it's done. Here, you can dig up a road, go and have your breakfast.
I can
in
tell
your
you a
cafe,
story about that. We'll do that
leave it
when
for
we
6
come back.
weeks, and then think about digging it up. Meanwhile, you've closed that road.
Yeah.